Yeah, no, there's certainly the perception that today's immigrants are somehow radically different than previous waves of immigrants in their process of assimilation. And there are certainly some differences, and some of those differences we won't fully be revealed for a very long time. But I mean, there's evidence, for example, that today's immigrants are actually learning English faster than immigrants did about 100 years ago. Socioeconomically, today's immigrant population is incredibly diverse. So you have some of the poorest, some of the least educated people in the United States are immigrants. Some of the most educated and wealthiest people in the United States are immigrants. So it's very hard to paint the immigrant population with a single brush. There's an incredible internal diversity, both with respect to class and national origin. So one of the big differences between the immigrants that have come in this most recent wave as opposed to the past is the large number of immigrants who are undocumented. So it's about almost a third of the immigrant population is undocumented. Whereas 100 years ago, very few immigrants came without documentation. In fact, it was virtually impossible to come illegally up until 1924, unless you were Asian. And so when a lot of people say, for example, my immigrant ancestors came the right way, you know, they came from Italy or they came from Poland and they came the right way, they didn't come legally, but they didn't come illegally. It was virtually impossible. There was only one way to come back then, and it was legally. It was not nearly as hard to go through the immigration bureaucracy as it is today. And so that legal status is a significant handicap to the immigrants who are trying to find their way in American society, and even for their U.S.-born children who are growing up in households that are headed by undocumented immigrants.